Agnes Ebert is 92 years old. She tells me she's shaken up, but she remains strong. She says her guardian angel was right by her side the entire time. Police are still searching for 3 suspects wanted for attempted burglary in the Waterford Plantation neighborhood of Carolina Forest. Agnes Ebert is 92. Her house was broken into Sunday night. She tells me she was watching a Hallmark movie when she heard her security system say the back door was open. That's when 2 men, masked and each holding a gun, walked into her house. She recalls the moment she confronted them.
Thought it was a joke. That's what I said to the kids. Is this a joke? Who are you? Or, and is this a joke? I have a lot of boys, and boys like to play jokes, but they never played one like this. But they each had a gun.
She says they then walked out of her house and remained in the neighborhood. Tim DeArmy lives across the pond from Agnes. He says in his 3 years of living in Waterford Plantation, he's never seen anything like this.
A lot of times you leave the house and you're only going to be gone for an hour, so you leave the doors open.
Neighbors who I spoke with say they're happy nothing was stolen. However, they tell me they feel as if their sense of security has been stripped. Agnes says to never take anything for granted, and bad things can happen even in quiet neighborhoods. This resilient woman says she has a reason for staying strong.
You have to be like that. It comes with age, I think. I have 8 children and all those 30 grandchildren and 27 great-grands, and it just, you never know what to expect. So although I never expected that.
Our family is just devastated that it ended in such a tragedy such as this with Kayla.
Reverend Rodney Hunt says words can't express his pain over the tragic death of his cousin, 31-year-old Kayla Hammonds. Police say she was stabbed to death Monday afternoon in the parking lot of the Food Lion on Elizabethtown Road in Lumberton. Her former boyfriend, Desmond Lee Sampson, is charged with first-degree murder in Kayla's death.
She feared that something bad would happen because she had had a number of incidents with him and with violence and domestic violence, and that's why in the past she had taken out restraining orders.
I went to the Robeson County Courthouse today and found 2 orders of protection granted to Kayla Hammonds against Desmond Sampson. One was filed last July and the other in October. Kayla wrote on one of the forms that last month Sampson threw a brick in her window, flattened her tires, and posted nude pictures of her. I also got a copy of 5 charges against Sampson for crimes involving Kayla dating from last July to October of this year. The charges included personal injury to property, real property, and threatening phone calls. Court records show that at least 3 of the charges were dismissed due to, quote, victim failed to appear in court. Reverend Hunt is hoping Kayla will one day get the justice she deserves.
I pray that justice will be served here at this courthouse and that we can have tougher laws put into place.
Dr. Carol Rotter has spent her career helping to give a voice to the voiceless. She saw a massive need after working with abused children as an emergency department physician.
And then the child would get in there and I'd find out she hadn't even seen that perpetrator for 6 months. So it was not something that needed to be in the emergency room. These kids were not getting therapy. They weren't getting a good forensic interview, they weren't getting a good forensic medical exam, and they were not getting therapy.
So in 1995, Dr. Rotter went to work with law enforcement and Department of Social Services to form a child abuse task force. 1 year and many grants later, the Children's Recovery Center opened in a 1-room house in Conway, serving 41 children their first year.
There's always a need. Children are always going to be abused, unfortunately. The most important thing is to have a place where they can go and get therapy. And you get better results of your interview if you're in a child-friendly place, because they get comfortable.
Walking through the door of the center, you're greeted with a circus theme, monkeys painted on the walls, a dollhouse on a table, and plenty of books lining the shelves. But for children who have often survived unthinkable crimes, care is also taken to make the exam and interview rooms as peaceful as possible.
They come here and they get a forensic medical exam, which is an exam that I do with a colposcope, which magnifies all the parts of the body. And it allows them to participate in the exam because they can see themselves on TV. So we look at their freckles and their fingerprints and all that kind of stuff. So they're engaged in the exam.
Then, instead of several interviews in many different facilities, children go through one interview that is then made accessible to law enforcement and therapists.
But this is really beautiful.
So this is the tree of hope for when the kids finish their therapy. They put their hands in paint, put it on the wall.
And so what was that like for the kids to get to do that?
Oh, they love it.
The center now operates out of 2 much larger buildings in Myrtle Beach, where the need has grown significantly.
We see about 380 children between Horry and Georgetown County a year, but we have a lot of transient population that moves to this area, and these children end up, in motels in Myrtle Beach with mothers that often have drug problems or alcohol problems or mental illness and don't make good choices about who they leave their children with. So we have a pretty high incidence of sexual abuse in this area.
An integral part of the center's mission is also providing specific trauma-focused therapy.
Their outcomes are much better. They start having less sleepless nights, less nightmares, less behavioral problems at school.
What's the most rewarding part of your job?
Just seeing the kids and helping them. They're just, they've gone through a lot. So to have somebody that's going to examine them and take care of them.
And Dr. Rotter plans to continue her work with the children who inspire her to multiply good.
These kids are great. I mean, they are resilient. It's unbelievable some of the things they tell me, but they all say something funny or something very loving that I take away with me every day.